Okay, let's dive straight in today. We're tackling something I think, well, pretty much everyone struggles with at some point. The knowing-doing gap.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, the feeling, right? Like the example in the original essay, you've got the vision board, the apps, the notes. You intellectually know what you need to do for that promotion or the side hustle or even fixing a relationship.
And yet, crickets, you're just sitting there, stuck, paralyzed almost,
Yep.
and all that potential just fizzles.
Exactly. That gap between knowing and actually doing anything about it, that's where so many ambitions seem to just, well, die.
Right. And the original essay argues something really crucial here, that getting across that gap, that transformation, it's not magic. It's not about sudden willpower. It's actually a skill, a system you can build.
Okay, so that's our deep dive today then. Breaking down the systems and the self-awareness stuff from the essay that supposedly help you actually make growth happen.
That's the plan, to really analyze those actionable steps for building that skill.
Great. Let's start with the big one, the comfort zone. We always hear, get out of your comfort zone. Like being comfortable is just lazy.
Yeah, that's the common take, but the essay flips that. It asks, what's the real job of the comfort zone? From like an evolutionary perspective,
Survival.
basically, yeah. It's your brain trying to conserve energy and keep you safe. Comfort just means your brain thinks it knows what's going to happen next. Predictability.
Low energy required. Feels safe.
Exactly. So safety is priority number one for the old hardware upstairs.
But then you try something new, something uncertain, like sending that scary email or pitching a big idea.
But boom, predictability gone.
And the brain's ancient alarm system goes off. It doesn't really distinguish threats very well, does it?
Means
Meaning
exactly.
it sees that awkward email or that tough presentation pretty much the same way it would see, I don't know, a saber-toothed tiger back in the day.
Seriously. So that's why you get the sweaty palms, the racing heart. That's the stress response kicking in. The urge to just retreat back to what feels safe and known. And the essay's key point here is really powerful. Most potential isn't lost in some big dramatic failure.
It's lost. How?
In the quiet, everyday choices. Just constantly choosing the slightly more comfortable option. Giving up a little bit of growth for that feeling of predictability day after day.
Okay, so if the brain freaks out about any uncertainty, how do we actually get anything done? We need to, what, retrain it?
That's exactly it. The essay calls it discomfort training.
Sounds uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, but the idea is to do it in small, manageable ways. You're consciously introducing tiny bits of uncertainty into your daily routine.
Like what kind of things?
Really small things. The essay mentions taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Or, starting a quick chat with the person next to you in the coffee line. Something that feels just slightly outside your normal pattern.
And why does that work? It seems almost trivial.
Because each time you do it, you're collecting data. Your brain learns, okay, I did that slightly uncertain thing and, didn't die.
Right. Maybe that sweaty palms alarm was a bit much.
Exactly. You're making discomfort feel more familiar. You're essentially teaching your system that the anxiety spike is often a false alarm, or at least survivable.
So you're not trying to eliminate anxiety, just recalibrate the response. See it as a workout, not a wall.
Precisely. Okay, so that's managing the reaction to stepping out. Now let's talk about using your internal signals as actual data, your emotions.
Ah, yes. Most people, myself included sometimes, just react to emotions like they're bad weather, right? Something to endure or ignore.
Yeah, but the essay proposes this idea of an emotional GPS system.
An emotional GPS.
Yeah. Every feeling, especially the strong ones, is carrying information, data about what's working in your life or maybe what needs attention.
Can you give an example?
Sure.
And
Like feeling anxious before a big meeting,
Yeah.
that's not just random static. It might be data saying, hey, the stakes are high here, or maybe you need to prepare a bit more, or feeling frustrated with a coworker.
That could be data pointing to an unmet need. Maybe you need better communication, or you feel a lack of respect. The point is, these feelings have messages. If you just numb them or push them away.
You miss the message. You miss the data.
Exactly. And you're guaranteed to repeat the pattern.
Okay, but let's be real. When you're actually feeling super stressed or angry, the last thing you naturally do is pause and calmly analyze it. How does the essay suggest building that discipline?
It's about practice, building the habit before you're in the thick of it. The process itself is straightforward. It just needs consistency.
Which is?
3 questions whenever a strong emotion pops up. 1, what actually triggered this feeling? Be specific. 2, what information is this emotion trying to give me? about my situation, my needs, and 3, what action, if any, does this feeling seem to be pushing me towards?
So you map it out. Trigger, information, suggested action.
Right. And doing this regularly helps you intercept that knee-jerk reaction and actually translate the signal before you just, act out. And over time, you start seeing patterns, I guess.
Absolutely. That's the real power. You start mapping and realize, oh, wait, this feeling of overwhelm, it always comes after I say yes to too many things without checking my capacity.
Or resentment showing up when boundaries aren't set.
Exactly. Or feeling stuck because you're avoiding that one difficult conversation or decision. Identifying those specific emotional loops lets you address the root cause, the underlying system, instead of just fighting the symptom again and again.
Okay, so that's the moment-to-moment emotional data. What about the bigger picture? The essay talks about a happiness audit.
Right. This is more like a low-frequency system check. And it tackles a common mistake we make,
Which is,
optimizing for the peak moments. That Friday night excitement, the vacation high, while totally ignoring our baseline contentment.
like how you feel on a random Tuesday morning. The general background hum of your life.
Exactly. That Tuesday morning dread, or maybe just a feeling of emptiness or going through the motions, the audit forces you to look at that baseline, not just the highlights.
How does it work? How do you actually do this audit?
First step is practical. Grab last week's calendar, go through it commitment by commitment, and rate each one on 2 scales.
Okay, what are the scales?
Scale 1 is energy. Did this activity drain you, or did it actually fill you up, energize you? Be honest. Scale 2 is alignment. Did this activity move you even slightly closer to the person you want to become, or was it essentially a distraction, maybe even moving you away?
Wow, so if something consistently drains energy and it's out of alignment with who you want to be.
That's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Waving vigorously, as the essay puts it. That's something you seriously need to think about eliminating, delegating, or radically changing.
Okay, that's commitments. What else is in the audit?
Next, you audit your relationships, your ecosystem.
Ooh, that sounds tricky.
It can be. But the essay emphasizes how much our state is influenced by the people we spend the most time with. So the audit asks, identify the 5 people you interact with most. Then honestly assess. Who consistently leaves you feeling more capable, more inspired, more energized, versus who tends to drain you, requires constant emotional management, or pulls you into their own recurring crises. It's not about judging people, but about recognizing the impact of those interactions on your own energy and trajectory.
That requires some real honesty. Okay, energy, alignment, relationships. What's the last piece?
A cold, hard look at personal progress.
How so?
The question is blunt. Are you demonstrably more skilled, more confident, or more emotionally intelligent now than you were, say, 6 months ago?
Measurably.
Yeah. If the honest answer is no, or not really, then the framework says you're likely optimizing for the wrong things.
Like what?
Like prioritizing short-term comfort, maybe avoiding challenges, maybe spending time on low-effort stuff like endless scrolling, instead of the harder work that actually leads to genuine growth.
This all feels connected. The comfort zone, the emotional data, the audit. It seems like it's all pushing towards confronting things we'd rather avoid, like failure.
Exactly. Which brings us to the next big idea, the failure acceleration principle.
Right. The essay talks about how high achievers seem to almost seek out failure, but in a specific way, failing faster and cheaper. How did that work?
Well, think about how most people approach potential failure. They fear it, right? So what do?
Overplan. Research endlessly. Wait for the perfect moment. Try to make everything flawless before they even start.
Precisely. It feels responsible, like doing your homework. But the essay argues that's actually failing slowly and expensively. You're burning massive amounts of time, energy, mental bandwidth.
Preparing for something that might be totally wrong anyway once it hits the real world.
Exactly. So the accelerator approach flips it. Instead of 6 months locked away writing the perfect business plan,
You do what?
you design a quick, maybe 6-week experiment to test the absolute core assumption. Like, will anyone actually pay for this thing? You get real data, fast.
Or instead of agonizing for weeks about having a difficult conversation.
You have it today. Find out what happens. Get the data. Even if it fails in the sense that it's awkward or doesn't go perfectly, you've learned something concrete, and you spent maybe an hour, not a month, of anxiety.
But isn't there a risk of being reckless? Doesn't careful planning still matter?
Planning matters, yes, but the goal of the planning shifts. It's not about planning to avoid failure altogether, because that's impossible. It's about planning to learn from failure as quickly and efficiently as possible.
So the goal isn't to be right all the time?
No, The goal is to make sure that when you're wrong and you find out fast, you find out cheap, and the mistake gives you valuable information to adjust your course. Being wrong quickly about small things is way better than being wrong slowly and catastrophically
Yeah.
about big things.
It's reframing failure from a verdict to tuition.
Instant tuition for necessary knowledge. Exactly. You learn to see errors not as proof you're incapable, but as feedback guiding you closer to a solution.
Okay, so we've got the mindset shift, the internal data tools.
Right.
Now we need the scaffolding, the structure to make change stick, right? The essay emphasizes systems over just willpower.
Absolutely. Transformation isn't one big event. It's the result of consistent systems. Motivation comes and goes, but systems keep you moving. The essay outlines a kind of transformation toolkit.
Let's get into it. What are the key practices?
There are 4 core ones that build that consistency. First up, forcing functions.
Forcing functions. Sounds intense. Define that.
A forcing function is basically a commitment you make that makes it harder, or even impossible, to backslide into your old ways. It engineers the situation so that moving forward is easier or less painful than staying stuck.
How does that work in practice? Give me an example.
Simple accountability helps, like telling friends your goal, but true forcing functions often have teeth. Think paying a non-refundable deposit for a course or coaching program, or setting a hard deadline with real consequences if you miss it, maybe with a client or collaborator. You're removing the opt-out option for when your motivation dips.
I sometimes find telling people goals just adds pressure that makes me freeze up. Why push public commitment?
Because that pressure, used correctly, is the point. It's leveraging social accountability or financial skin in the game.
Yeah.
You're using the potential discomfort of embarrassment or losing money as fuel. You're pre-committing your future self to the action.
Okay, I see. So you're making the path of least resistance the path you actually want to take. What's next in the toolkit?
Tracking leading indicators. This is huge.
Leading indicators versus lagging ones.
Right. Most of us track lagging indicators. Those are the results that show up after the work is done. The number on the scale, the quarterly revenue, the book finally being published.
On the problem with only tracking those.
It's incredibly discouraging because you put in effort day after day, week after week, and you see nothing. The results lag way behind the effort. It feels like you're failing, even when you're doing the right things.
So leading indicators are.
They're the behaviors and the effort that come before the results. Instead of tracking weight loss, lagging, you track how many workouts you completed this week. Or if you stuck to your nutrition plan, leading.
Or instead of income, you track how many sales calls you made or hours spent learning a new skill.
Exactly. Tracking leading indicators gives you immediate daily feedback that you are succeeding at the process. It shows you're making progress long before the big outcome materializes. It's way more empowering.
Okay, forcing functions, leading indicators. What's third?
This one's about identity. Identity-based habits.
Moving from doing things to being someone.
Precisely. It's a shift in how you define yourself. Instead of saying, I'm trying to exercise more, which sounds temporary and effortful, you internalize the identity. I am the kind of person who prioritizes my health.
How does that help?
When you face a choice, go to the gym or stay on the couch. It's no longer just about mustering willpower for one action. It's about acting in alignment with who you are. Making the inconsistent choice feels like a betrayal of your identity, which is a much stronger motivator than just hitting a target. Your actions start to flow naturally from who you believe you are becoming.
That's powerful. Okay, and the final piece of the toolkit, making it practical.
Yes, the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Implementation intentions.
Sounds technical.
It's actually very simple. It's about
Yeah, I
getting
know.
super specific with your plans, moving away from vague goals like, I'll write more this week. You use an if-then structure. Like, if it is 9 a.m. on a weekday, then I will work on my most important project for 90 minutes before checking email. Or if I finish dinner, then I will immediately put my running shoes by the door for the morning.
So you're linking the desired action to a specific cue, a time, a place, a preceding event.
Exactly. It automates the decision. You don't have to think or decide in the moment. The plan is already set. It dramatically reduces the friction and the mental energy needed to get started.
These 4 practices, forcing functions, leading indicators, identity habits, implementation intentions, they all seem designed to bypass willpower and make consistency almost automatic.
That's the core idea, building systems that support the change you want.
Which brings us back to why people often give up too soon, right? They might even try some of these things, but they expect instant, obvious results.
Yes, they expect progress to be linear. Put in X effort, get X result back immediately.
Uh-huh.
But the essay stresses that real, meaningful change usually isn't linear at all. It's exponential. It compounds.
Explain that compounding idea, like the ice cube analogy.
Exactly like that. Imagine an ice cube in a room that's below freezing. You start warming the room. You raise it from, say, 20 degrees to 25. Nothing happens to the ice. 25 to 30. Still, nothing visible. You're putting in effort, warming the room, but the result you want melting isn't there yet.
Feels like failure.
It does. But then you raise it just a couple more degrees, past 32 Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius, and suddenly, bang, the ice starts melting.
Mm-hmm.
And the warmer it gets, the faster it melts. That dramatic shift looks sudden, but it was only possible because of all the consistent, seemingly invisible effort that came before it.
So the system was working all along, even when the results weren't obvious.
Right. You have to trust the system, track the leading indicators, the temperature rising,
Wow.
keep going, knowing the breakthrough often comes after a period of what looks like stagnation.
That really clarifies the difference between goals and systems. Goals tell you where you're going to publish the book.
But the system is what actually gets you there. Write 500 words every single day. The system delivers the progress.
And the essay's big takeaway on this is...
It's a quote worth remembering. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Ultimately, your environment, your habits, your identity, the structures you put in place, those determine your results, far more than just wishing or setting a lofty goal.
Wow. Okay, pulling this all together, it feels like the path from knowing to doing isn't about finding some magic motivation button. It's about engineering, designing systems that make the change you want almost inevitable.
Exactly. Less about heroic effort, more about smart architecture. You stop waiting for change to just happen to you, and you start consciously designing the conditions for it.
Using discomfort as fuel, using emotions as data.
Auditing your life honestly, failing faster to learn quicker.
It all sounds so logical, almost simple when laid out like this, but the application, day in and day out, facing that discomfort or that frustration, that's the hard part.
It is. That's where the real work lies. But maybe the final reframing is this. That struggle, it isn't proof the system is failing. It's just more data. It's a signal pointing to exactly what needs attention, what needs strengthening in your system right now.
So the transformation doesn't start with some grand plan for next year. It starts with the next choice.
Your very next decision. That's where the architecture begins. The challenge laid out is pretty clear. Make that next decision count.